Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry, just before we start, the my artist who works with me, she was going to join. She's just she messaged me right now saying that she's getting on her computer.
That's not a problem. She can join anytime.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
Cool. Let's start by talking a bit about yourself.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Anywhere in particular? Do you want me to just go off?
Just go off. I think this is an open forum. We're just going to chit chat for half an hour.
Yeah.
It's more like an introductory call, and we just chat through things, and mostly just want all the audience of Comix to know you better, and about your projects, your style. What are your creative inspirations and stuff like that, so yeah.
Sure, yeah. Okay, well, so yeah, my name is Sam West. Big comic fan, everything nerdy. I do comics, video games, movies. I'm a big fan of watching all and that stuff, always been a big fan since I was a little kid. I grew up on Spider-Man and the Ninja Turtles and Batman, all that fun stuff. I got really into the idea of making my own comic a few years ago. So I used to work in the mining industry, and it's boring underground sometimes. I spent a lot of time down there, a lot of time sitting around waiting for work. And, my friend and I used to talk about this kind of stuff and all this what if. And then one day it just became, like why should I be talking about what if when I can, actually give it a shot? And so I started working on a project. I really enjoyed it. And originally it was just like, I've always been a fan of creative writing. And so it was this sort of creative outlet for me to work on. And, originally it was going to be, I'll make this, I'll get it out of my system, I can move on with my life. And I made, as original as I am, I made a superhero story, and I enjoyed it a lot. Not something that I'm ready to make an actual comic yet, but I liked it and didn't get it out of my system. So I started again with another story and really enjoyed that. And that was ended up becoming Happy Pines later on. And
nice.
Yeah, that's kind of my background leading up to this. And I really wanted something like I'm Canadian. As a kid, like I read a lot of comics. Almost every comic though seems to be set in New York. And so I wanted some Canadian representation. I'm from the north, so it's a lot of woods around me, and I wanted to demonstrate that. And I thought, what better way than a campsite in the woods,
No, that's great. Have you ever seen Alan Moore's documentaries? Like Alan Moore says a lot, like he has been inspired by the places he worked at a lot.
Oh, okay.
I think he used to work at a sheep skinning factory in in Leeds or somewhere north of England, and that inspired his work a lot. That added a lot of like edgelordy darkness to his kind of his even his humor is so dark, and his so he talks a lot about that. But it's fun that, like, it's good to know that your work kind of was the starting point of where you were heading. And it's great that you're telling local stories, because those are the most important stories to tell. I think most mainstream stories focus a lot on like big city centers or big town centers and things like that. And there's a real need for local stories to be told, right? Because
100%.
Yeah. It's great that you're doing it.
Yeah.
I actually loved the character of both Ash and Artie in Happy Pines.
Thank you.
What led you to create a character like Ash in the first place?
Yeah, I'm so to talk about Ash, I kind of have to talk about Artie first. I'm a big fan of I was when I was watching it, but I really like the X-Files. I've got a poster somewhere with that big UFO like they have in the show and stuff. I've always liked that show. I like the idea of kind of this bureau investigating the paranormal, that kind of stuff. With the idea of Mulder and stuff, and that my original idea behind the comic wasn't even focused on Ash. It was focused more so on Artie, and the idea was to have kind of an aged version Mulder from the X-Files. And so I wanted an older, kind of maybe a little bit jaded, secret agent type of thing who works in this kind of paranormal area, and you don't know much about him. And originally, Ash, I think, I've gone through, I don't know, probably a dozen revisions of the comic before I was happy with it, and almost all of them were around Ash, because originally Ash was a guy named Matt that I had created, and I didn't like Matt at first. He was this, I don't know. He never stuck. He was at first this middle-aged kind of older guy, and then after that he became like this younger college guy. And I couldn't get the writing to work. He felt weird to me. And originally he was working with Artie as kind of Artie's new person on the crew. And eventually I was like, so at some point Ash had become, or Ash was Matt, and Matt was just a camp worker trying to figure out who Artie was. And I was like, I'm going to try making the story more focused on this character. And so then the reader can discover with the character what's happening. And just on a whim, I changed him to Ash. I was kind of in the middle of playing Tomb Raider, and I wanted sort of a Lara Croft type of character. And she really grew on me like a ton, and I really enjoyed it. And so I worked on that, and ended up very happy with her. And that's kind of where both of their origins come from.
Nice. That's lovely. When I looked at Artie, it gave me a lot of like Men in Black kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey Lili, how are you doing?
Oh, not sure if she
can you hear us?
Oh, she can't hear. Technical difficulties.
It's okay if you want to. Yeah, I'll just message her in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can let her troubleshoot if we can continue talking while she troubleshoots. She can chime in once she's got it going, maybe.
Cool.
Yeah, it's crazy how we're all three of us are in opposite areas of the world. You're out in Australia, I'm in Canada, she's South America.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Technology brings us together.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Ash's character works really well as a girl. I'm not too sure if it would have been worked as good as a man. I
agree. Yeah. That was the thing. I always found that when Ash was Matt, I found Matt didn't work as well as a character. I found less. I don't know. He wasn't clicking with me, and I really liked the friendship that Ash and Karen have, and I found that the relationship that, especially when Matt was middle-aged with Karen, just seemed weird. And, so there was a lot of tweaking around, and I do think that I really hit the nail on the head when I made Ash.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Now, how did you find the whole experience of crowdfunding in general? Like, did you have fun times doing it? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? It can be very bittersweet.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just replying to Lily.
No worries.
So yeah, it was stressful. It was really, really stressful. Everyone online that I had read was talking about how you'll be busy all the time, and I may have underestimated rather how it would be. So I have a background in electronics, but I ended up going back to school. So I was in university when I started this. And so I started this crowdfunding campaign kind of end of October, if I remember, early November. And it was extremely stressful. I was juggling school, I was juggling promoting this thing online. And one thing that you really can't understate to anyone who wants to do any kind of crowdfunding is like, you've got to be on it like every day of the week. I felt like I was posting constantly. I was messaging with people all the time, tons of discussions going on. And and this is more so who I am, but I really enjoy, I just constantly refreshing the page and watching the numbers and like trying to pay attention to who was checking it out. And then, it was very busy, but it was fun. It was fun. I was very glad once we hit our goal and I could breathe a little.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Do you have plans to make? Obviously, you left the book on a cliffhanger, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we do need more issues of it.
Yeah. We'd have Lili to thank for the idea of more issues, because originally like I said, I wanted this to be a one and done, and kind of leave it. And so I I left it open ended, and originally that was how I was gonna leave it. Just let the reader interpret what happens next. Lili fell in love with the characters a lot, and it was her who ended up convincing me to try and experiment with a second issue. And so I did that, and we have a follow up that we're actually working on right now. We're in the process of. I've got all the writing done. It's just getting the art and everything finished, and yeah, so that'll be exciting.
Nice. That's a good segue. Oh, I thought Lili's here.
Yeah, I know. Just technical difficulties.
I know. It's all right.
That's the way it goes.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't introduce myself at all to you.
Oh, so, no, sorry.
So maybe this is a good time.
Yeah, definitely.
My name is Saurabh. I'm based in Australia, Sydney.
Okay.
I'm probably just outside Sydney. It's kind of like a suburban, sprawl here. So yeah, I'm here, and I'm building a new platform for both crowdfunding and not just crowdfunding, but what happens beyond crowdfunding. So it's more, it's a platform where indie creators can come and sell their work. They can do crowdfunding. They can do like sell back issues. It's a community, and it's 100% focused on indie comics. So it's
very cool.
Yeah, and I've been working with a couple of other creators as well, and they have been like, I've been just taking feedback from them on the product, and they have been helping me refine things. Like I'm a creator myself, and I did a couple of Kickstarter campaigns and comics, and yeah, it was a great experience. It was exhausting, like you said. Yeah. It drained a lot of energy out of me, but it did give me quite a few good ideas as to where Kickstarter lacks a little bit, and where we can improve it. It's definitely a great tool for indie creators, because I don't know if indie comics would be the same without it, without crowdfunding.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it definitely gives us a lot of like predictability in terms of like how many units we have to create and ship, and what's the cost, definitely. And what would it cost us. Also, it helps us, like if the crowdfunding campaign doesn't go through, then we may know that project may be worthwhile or not as well. So
yeah, it's and I think one of the things that helped me the most, like before I had started, was being able to see all these different projects, and I could kind of examine, what worked, what didn't work, and that kind of stuff. It's a handy platform. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So what my thought was, like, because my comics, a lot of people, like the first one was part of an anthology, and the second one I did it on my own. The biggest problem I faced was what happens after. Like there was practically no sales after I finished the campaign. And we tried with the anthology, we tried to do a second run, like second volume of anthology, or a rerun of the campaign, but it was such like diminishing returns. The campaign didn't work out second time around, because who would go and buy the same comics for the second time, like
that's exactly. I've had similar issues there.
Yeah. So that's why, like, the whole idea is, like, I sparked in my mind saying, like, let's I probably want to have like bigger longevity to our comic books. They should survive forever. They should not
for sure
survive just for the campaign.
Yeah, no, 100%.
We should always be like constantly be able to discover new audiences for our books, and that's where like the whole idea of comics came along. Yeah, so
I think that's great.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to make right now. But this is more about you, not about me.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
But yeah, I've been starting to do like I've been doing creator interviews for last couple of months, and they're mostly
Okay.
text. But I want to mix it up a little bit and do more like video interviews, because
For
I
sure.
know
Yeah.
I know creators. I want to give creators more of a platform so they can, you know, come market, do
Yeah.
all
Yeah. No,
those
I
kind of
think that's
things.
awesome.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I love talking to everyone. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
such a great thing to do, right?
No. Yeah. 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 100%. I agree. Yeah. No. That's my think second or
Yeah,
third interview I've done, and they're all a blast. I love talking to all these like-minded people and stuff. You know, it's fun.
exactly. Hey, Lily, you're here. I'll just message her.
Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hey.
Hey, you're
Hey.
here.
Yeah. There we go.
That was a huge battle with my laptop here. Sorry about that.
That's all
No
good.
worries at all. No worries at all.
But
Technology.
it,
Sorry, yeah, go for it. How are you doing today?
uh, I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. And how about you guys?
Doing
Good.
great. Doing great.
Yeah.
It's just my laptop doesn't have a camera, so on my phone the camera was working, but the audio no. And here we have audio but no camera.
No
So
camera.
this is the choice.
Can't
No?
win. Yeah.
That's good enough, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Make do with what we have. Yeah.
At least I can see you.
Yeah.
Cool. We were just talking about a lot of things. Definitely talking about Happy Pines, and then a bit about business of comics in general, like about the crowdfunding campaign and stuff. So, how was your experience working on Happy Pines, Lily? What drew you to the story and the characters?
So, it was a great experience to me working on Happy Pines, because I haven't done any other project like this before. I was just mostly character designer, but I always wanted to work with comics. It's something I really like. Uh, most of my references are from manga, Japanese comic, and it was interesting that I could somehow mix these styles for Happy Pines, so you can see a lot of manga style there. And I also created the character design, and I used for this some reference from TV shows like Twin Peaks. That was one of my favorites. And when Sam told me about the story, I was really happy because it reminds me a lot of Twin Peaks. And also for the monster design, I used something from Resident Evil. It's a franchise I love. And Sam doesn't like so much horror stuff like me.
Yeah.
And so most of the horror you see in the story came from me.
That's lovely. That's great to hear. I think those inspirations definitely reflect in your work as well. I was about to say that your work looks a lot like manga, but yeah, but like it's very like different kind of manga. It's not obviously because the characters are
Yeah.
the comics and characters are in a very different setting, and they're not a manga setting. It's done very well to represent both the styles there. Great work on that.
Thank you.
And because of the rural setting, it does give a very Twin Peaks kind of feel. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's lovely. That definitely
Yeah.
shows through the work.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, we were talking about the next issue of Happy Pines, and what are your plans for that? Are you already working on it?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't I finished it. Lily's been working really hard. I know she's been hard at it. I wanted to just, sorry, I know that I don't want to steal from Lily, but I just wanted to add, like, we really can't understate how hard and how well Lily worked on this, because I'm really, really like a huge scaredy cat. I'm not big on horror at all. And I really couldn't have gotten across some of the elements that she did as well as that.
No, that's great, because actually the horror element took me by a little by surprise, and
Yeah.
and that actually added a whole lot of interest in the book for me. Like I was just at the edge of my seat till the end, so it was great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really happy to hear that, because I think I always wanted to make something like this, to draw some horror stuff, but not so gore, something middle way, and we kind of made a perfect team
I
with
think
this
so,
comic.
yeah.
Yeah, PG-13 horror, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. That fits
Yeah.
me well.
But yeah, that's if you remember, like what in Spider-Man 2,
Mhm.
there's one
Mhm.
scene where Doc Ock's arms come to life in the
Oh,
hospital.
yeah.
That scene doesn't have any blood and gore, but it's still
Right.
so horrifying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love that character. It's one
Mhm.
of my favorites for Spider-Man.
That's kind of what got me into this story, was like, so like I'm not big on horror. I try to avoid it. It gives me nightmares, all that kind of stuff. But I was my brother, he's really big into old movies, and he was watching Creature from the Black Lagoon one night, and I watched it with him. It's this old black and white movie, and the monster isn't that scary. Like, they didn't have the capabilities to make him look that intimidating. And so a lot of it, like, are these like shots of him like in the shadows or like underwater. And so a lot of it is like this fear of anticipation, and kind of the same with Jaws and whatever. And that was a lot of what I wanted here, was more so not knowing what it is than like having jump scares and overly gory, messy scenarios.
Nice. That's
Mhm.
definitely. I think the book shines really well through in that regard.
Mhm.
Does give like a element of there's something lurking out there, and there's constant tension, but
Mhm.
lacks like less of jump scares and more of
Yeah.
adventure element to it, right? So it's
Yeah,
horror
exactly.
and adventure mixed into one. That's really good. It's a good mix.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, it's something I really like about Happy Pines too.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Nice.
can't remember exactly what it was or who said it. I'm pretty sure it was Spielberg who had talked about how like the best part about Jaws was like the audience made up what this terrifying creature could be, because like if you see a big shark is scary, but this monster that's showing up and grabbing people underwater, like your mind starts to run wild. And it's kind of similar when it comes here, in Happy Pines, like you hear, there was a bear or a mountain lion or whatever in the woods that had attacked, and somebody is still missing. And I really wanted people to like try and think of what could be happening.
Yeah. That's great. That's really
Mm.
good. Cool. My general pet question to everyone is,
Mhm.
who's your favorite comic book character?
It's a toughie.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I can answer first if you want to think on it
Yeah,
more.
please.
Yeah, I bounce around a lot. I really liked Spider-Man for the longest time in my life. I kind of fell out of it after a while. I found Marvel Comics got too confusing for me. They were all tied together, and I'm reading Spider-Man and it's telling me to check out what happened in Wolverine to find out what he's talking about, and that became too much. And so I fell out of them. What got me back into it was Spider-Gwen, which I really, really enjoyed. I think that like if there's people like me who enjoyed Spider-Man, which obviously there are, Spider-Gwen does this really interesting job at like taking a recognizable story and spinning it onto its head. You've got characters that you recognize, like Matt Murdock is there, but he's not the Daredevil, he's the Kingpin. And it's really interesting because you don't need any knowledge of any Marvel comics, at least for the beginning. And I really enjoyed that. I wish, like, as an indie comic creator, that I could name off indie comics that I'm really big into. There's not that many. Like, I like Invincible, but Invincible isn't it's indie, but it's indie in the loosest sense because I think everyone knows Invincible now with its TV show, and
very true.
you know, I probably the most obscure thing I read is I really liked Sonic the Hedgehog comics, and you know, that's probably about it. But I float around a lot in the mainstream.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's like this for me as well. I used to like a lot of Batman, but I don't know. These days, I think Doctor Strange it's my favorite character. And most of my heroes are from manga, and so I don't think everyone knows them so well. But I can say,
go for it. See,
I can say Sailor Moon, Sakura Card Captors, maybe something from Rurouni Kenshin. I like it a lot. This story, and I think these are pretty much my biggest influences on drawing.
Nice.
I really wanted to learn how to draw because of Cardcaptor Sakura. It was my first big desire to draw was because of her.
Nice. That's amazing.
Yeah.
There's kind of a funny story that I had learned fairly recently about Cardcaptor Sakura that Lily and I shared as the show that we enjoyed, and I thought it was really funny because, I mean, for the longest time I was the only person who I knew that really watched it, and the only reason I watched it was because the English dub really plays it off like trying to be this competitor to Yu-Gi-Oh. The intro plays a ton like you're going to be watching this action-packed like card game, and then you watch the show and it's almost like this slice of life magical girl thing. And I fell in love with it as a kid, and it was really funny when I had mentioned that to Lily a while ago, and she mentioned how much she enjoyed the show, and it was this funny coincidence.
I couldn't believe about that opening until I saw it.
Yeah.
It was really, really close to Yu-Gi-Oh opening.
That's so lovely. I think these are the things that actually you bond over, right? While working on. So this is so good. I think one of my favorite indie ones is probably Paper Girls.
Yeah.
That's one of my Well, I don't know if Paper Girls is indie anymore. They're converting it. Yes.
Yeah, it becomes hard to tell.
Yeah, it's picked up by Amazon as well, and they're making a show on it. And it's Image Comics, right? Image Comics has
picked
it up as well. Yeah. But they started as very indie as well. I love Saga. Saga is pretty mainstream now too.
Saga is amazing.
So good.
It's the last one I've been reading. It's Saga, and the art is amazing.
Mind blowing. It's so good.
The story, all of it.
Yeah. What is that? I love Judge Dredd. So good. It's very gory and it's very I don't know, it's very nihilistic, but but it's still like it has so many layers to it. It's lovely. It's really good. It's very rich in how it like in world building itself. So it's definitely one to read for if you love world building. Yeah. There's a crossover of I got a digest. I think my wife gifted that to me. It was a crossover between Batman and Judge Dredd. And it has some really fun stories to read. Like very
sounds good.
Yeah, it is. You must check it out. It has so many like different varied styles of art and even writing. Like some of the stories are like just really loose stories where they just so much mayhem in them. It was really fun to read.
I think stories like that, like especially crossover stories where they kind of let a little bit more loose, they can make some really interesting stories. Like I really like Batman as a kid. I really like Ninja Turtles as a kid, and so they had a crossover comic a while ago, and that was a match made in heaven for me. And there's all kinds of goofy stuff. Like everybody becomes a sort of mutant animal, and it's it's got the Batman vibe. It's got the Batman art. It's got the kind of fun from Ninja Turtles that I remember as a kid. It's a good time. I like that kind of stuff.
Nice. Have you any of you read Archie versus Predator?
No, but I read there was a Sabrina the Teenage Witch kind of dark reboot that Archie had done a while ago on like a comic book before the TV show, and that thing took me by surprise.
I haven't read it.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, Lily, any crossovers you've read that you find interesting?
I can't remember anything right now.
Yeah.
A lot less crossover in manga, I find, than
Oh yeah,
I
that's
think
comics.
manga,
That's-
they're
yeah.
really common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
my daughter actually loves Justice League and Mystery Machine Scooby-Doo crossover.
yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. Have you it's a controversial question for you, Lily. Do you like Full Metal Alchemist manga more or the show? Which one do you like more?
I think I'll go for the show. I think I don't know, it's just different from me when I can see the animations and the music. I love the music from the TV series, and this was something really important to me. When I finished watching the TV series, I decided to make a tattoo because I really loved this anime. It's one of my favorites of all times.
Yeah, same.
I have to agree. I really enjoyed Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah,
That was my
Yeah.
first journey kind of into like anime, you know, like I watched Naruto and Bleach before that, and that was my sort of experience with other shows. And I remember you know, it wasn't Brotherhood, it was the original one, and it starts, you know, there's that creepy parrot half human thing, and at the start and it terrified me. I had to
Super
stop for like
spooky.
3 months and come back to it later, but I'm glad I did. I really enjoyed
Right.
that show.
yeah. It goes into some really dark places as well.
Mhm. Oh,
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yes, I know. I
It
was not
has
ready
some
for it.
really creepy parts.
Yeah. Cool. It's been great talking to both of you. It's
Yeah,
lovely.
it was awesome. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, we should do this again sometime.
Yeah.
Definitely before we launch the Happy Pines
Yeah.
issue too.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'd love to.
Yeah.